not long ago, I'm in New York City and I sit down and I'm in an outdoor cafe, I think on the Upper West Side.
No, it was East Side.
Oh, it was East Side.
Yeah.
It was Upper East Side. I'm no longer allowed on the Upper West until the charges are dropped. But
What?
no, it's a long story. Sona, please.
Zabar's has banned him.
I stole an everything bagel. And they don't mind if you steal an onion bagel, but when you steal an everything
That's going
bagel,
too
that's
far.
like
Stuff
crossing the
on it.
line.
There's
far.
a lot of stuff
But
on it.
I was sitting there and we ran into each other and this was my visceral response was, God, I love Susie Essman. She's such a real person. You are a real person. Some people in the business kind of calcify a little bit. You are so emotionally available. You were so nice. And so we part company and I immediately text Paula Davis, who you were hanging out with beforehand. And I said, we have to get Susie Essman on the podcast. And of course, she texts right back, I love Susie Essman. But that is the effect I think you have on people.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
But it's so funny that what most people know you from, even you've been successful and you've been in comedy. And I mean, you did Carson in 1989.
Oy vey. It was not good, by the way.
It didn't go well?
No, it didn't go well.
What happened? Tell me about it.
I was on a series on NBC called Baby Boom. It was a takeoff of the movie that had been with Diane Keaton, only
Right.
Kate Jackson was playing the main character. I was her secretary. So they had me on as like the young NBC ingenue. And I was a comic and he didn't know I was a comic. And I think I was a little bit too blue for him I looked in his eye and I grew up on Carson. I mean, I'm older than all of you combined, I think. Maybe not Aaron, but...
That's true.
That's very true. Yeah.
Aaron Blair's
But
so
David,
young.
how old are you, David?
32.
32.
Well, he grew up on Carson Daly.
Yeah,
And,
Carson Daly.
TRL.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is, like when I was a kid, I used to
Oh.
set the alarm to wake up because we didn't have VHS or DVR or any of that crap.
Right.
And just, I would set the alarm if it was Jonathan Winters or Rickles or, that
Sure.
was, it was.
Yes.
So to be on the show, and yet he was nothing like, I looked at his eyes and it was just ice cold. And I had no rapport with him. And David Steinberg was the guest that night next to me, who then became my friend because he directed so many Curbs. But he was incredibly kind and gracious to me. But I was never so scared in my life. I remember going on, there was no moisture in my life. In my mouth. And it was just really scary and it didn't go well.
I've always heard that he was, and got to meet him a couple of times, that he was quite different from what you saw on television.
Yes.
And some people are very good at projecting warmth, and then they're quite shy, off camera. And then I've talked about this before because you can go through show business and say, it's almost like there are two types of comedian. There's, Steve Martin. When you meet Steve Martin, I love him and I've become very friendly with him. But when I first met him, when I was a writer at SNL, I was expecting the Steve Martin that I idolized when I was in grade
And he's
school
guarded.
and high school. He's quiet, he's guarded, he's very serious. And, he's like a surgeon who's going to get ready to do a very big operation. And then you meet Marty Short, and Marty Short will do 45 minutes.
Right.
And so I very quickly realized, oh, I'm the Marty Short type.
Yeah.
Later on in my career, I sometimes meet people that have since become well-known, but they knew me when I was hosting the late night show, and they were the receptionist at like an architecture firm. And I came in with my wife because we were going to do some work on our apartment. And then later on, they went on to become very well-known actors, actresses, comedians. And I would say, okay, was I nice? And they're like, oh, you were very nice. And you did bits for like 20 minutes to the point where I had to excuse myself. And that always really makes me...
you were so needy.
Still is.
Yeah. But also, I will say, in my defense, yes, needy is one word, and it is Conan O'Brien needs a friend. But also, I really enjoy it. And
Well,
sometimes...
what's better than making people laugh?
I love it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll leave. Sometimes I'll leave and I'll say to my wife, Liza, I'll say, man, I really killed in there. And she will say, it was a room full of third graders. You were there to read a book. That's all you had to do was read them a book. But you had to do a whole thing.
Does your wife laugh at you?
She does.
Yeah.
Thank God, because I think there are times where definitely she's looking at me and I think she knows California is a 50-50 state. She knows she's financially set.
We remind her all the time.
Yeah, they're always reminding her. But then I'll say something and she'll laugh and I'll think, okay, I think we're good for another day.
Is she funny?
Yes, she's very funny and she can be very funny on her own, but also very dry and kind of like, that's great. Yeah, that's really funny. Let's wrap it up. Let's go. And I saw Bob Newhart and Jenny, his wife, came to our house once. She's since passed, but she was so funny on her own, but also so great with Bob Newhart. And then Bob was telling a story and it was getting late. And then she just said, all right, Newhart, let's wrap it up. And I thought, wow, she's like Liza. I love this. This is what we need. We need partners who
know how to control you.
Control us.
Boundaries.
Shut it down. What about your...
Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy.
Jimmy has a great sense of humor and can make me laugh, but he's not funny. He's funny in a different way. Yeah, like what you were saying.
Right.
And, I never understand these two comic couples.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, please. I never dated a comic. To me, that would be a nightmare.
No, it would be,
I've seen them. They exist.
They're out there.
They are out there.
They're out there.
Does it work? Have you seen a comedy couple where it works?
I stay away from them because they scare me.
Yeah.
I'm not that close with
like,
them.
and then the other one's like, oh, yeah, dabba-dabba-do.
But people will say to my husband all the time, is she funny at home? Or they'll ask, does she scream and yell at you? And it was, what kind of stupid question is that? Like I walk around acting like Susie Green and dressed like her and screaming at him and kicking him the fuck out of the house? What kind of marriage would that be? It's fiction.
You know what I love? I love you yelling at Larry, but I think because I came up with Jeff Garlin and we shared an apartment back in Chicago in the day.
That whole concept
We've known each other forever. So I took particular joy when you would go after Jeff. You fat fuck.
Yeah.
I would just be, I would be crying laughing.
But, Larry kind of saved me. As the seasons went on, he would save me more and more for him.
Right.
Less and less for Jeff.
Right.
He would relish that. The man loves to be yelled and screamed at.
Yeah.
I mean, loves it. He lives for it.
Well, also, he knows there's this great secret. I mean, who did it better than, we're going way back there, but I talk about this sometimes, Jack Benny, and Carson did it so well. But I learned a long time ago, you can get big laughs by just reacting and looking a little sad and downtrodden when it's appropriate. And so Larry's so good at when he's being eviscerated, that the way his face falls.
Yeah.
And the way he just has to, and I think also Jeff Garlin would just look, oh God, I just have to take it because I just got downtrodden. I got busted. Susie knows.
Well, they did such stupid shit too. I know. It's like people would ask me questions. Is it hard to get that angry? No, he's stealing my kid's doll's head. He's stealing my kid's dog. Right. He's getting her drunk. He's getting us kicked out of a country club. He's stealing a salad dressing recipe. It's not like a big method acting thing I gotta do. You just have to be in the scene, and it's like, look what these fucking assholes are doing now.